وجاهد في سبيل دينه حتى أتاه اليقين، فاللهم اجزه عنا وعن والدينا وعن الإسلام والمسلمين خير ما جازيت به نبيا عن قومه ورسولا عن أمته. اللهم أحينا على سنته وأمتنا على ملته واحشرنا تحت لوائه واسقنا من يده الشريفة شربة هنيئة لا نظمأ بعدها أبدا، اللهم آمين. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in Surah Al-Hadid that the ultimate purpose of sending messengers and prophets, the ultimate purpose of revealing books and scriptures, is for people to stand for justice. لقد أرسلنا رسلنا بالبينات. We've sent our messengers with clear signs and evidence. وأنزلنا معهم الكتاب والميزان. And we have sent down unto them and with them the book and the balance. What is the purpose? ليقوم الناس بالقسط. So that people would stand for justice and stand on grounds of justice. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Hadith Qudsi, يا عبادي إني حرمت الظلم على نفسي وجعلته بينكم محرما فلا تظالموا. O my servants, I have decreed that injustice is forbidden for me. Allah is forbidding dhulm on himself. And he is commanding us that we do not practice wrongdoing and injustice. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam tells us in the hadith, من رأى منكم منكرا فليغيره بيده. He who sees anything wrong, not wrong by my taste or wrong according to my opinion, it is clearly wrong in the book of Allah and or in the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He who sees something wrong, let him correct it with his hand. فإن لم يستطع فبلسانه. If he cannot change it with his hand, change it by talking against it, by denouncing it, by clearing his innocence of it. اللهم إنا نبرأ منك من فعل الظالمين. فمن لم يستطع فبقلبه. He who cannot change the munkar with his hand or talk against it with his tongue, at least denounce it in your heart, but never accommodate wrongdoing. Never accommodate the munkar, never accommodate injustice. Never sit on your hands when you could do something with your hands. And never sit silent when you could speak against what is wrong. Why? Because our silence betrays our faith when we are called to speak up. Our silence against the munkar, what is wrong, is considered as approval of what is wrong. Look at how the tyrants would like for you to be silent. Pharaoh tells his community, ذروني أقتل موسى وليدعو ربه. Let me kill Moses and let him pray to his Lord. Let him call on his Lord. How many people spoke? How many people spoke? One man. One man from the community of Pharaoh. He's an Egyptian. He's not an Israelite. And he spoke. وقال رجل مؤمن من آل فرعون يكتم إيمانه أتقتلون رجلا أن يقول ربي الله وقد جاءكم بالبينات من ربكم. وإن يك كاذبا فعليه كذبه وإن يك صادقا يصبكم بعض الذي يعدكم به. A single man that Allah called a man and a believer from the community of Pharaoh spoke up. That's all what we need to change the conditions of our ummah. That's all what we need. Pharaohs do not like anything more than your silence. And unfortunately, in today's world of money and materialism, of selling and buying people's souls and conscience for any gain, in this environment, Pharaohs are very happy. They are killing their own people right and left, with and without reason, because all pharaohs are copies of Fir'aun. All tyrants are copies of Fir'aun. Fir'aun was afraid of a single child, that he was told in his dream that a child is going to be born and your kingdom will perish on his hands. So Pharaoh sends his soldiers to kill every newborn. That is his plot. But Allah's decree was that Moses will be protected in Pharaoh's palace. We all know the story. We've gone over this 100,000 times. But all what we need is for us to understand the lessons. Because our silence is betrayal of our faith, betrayal of our communities, betrayal of our nations, betrayal of truth, and betrayal of justice. So from the ayah of Surah Al-Hadid, where Allah is telling us that He has sent messengers with clear evidence and signs, and sent with them the book and the balance for people to stand for justice, He is telling us, unless we establish justice, you have no faith. Period. Finished. I'm going to give you something to think about so that nobody will take my words out of context. What is the ultimate purpose of prayer? The ultimate purpose is mentioned to us in the Quran. Allah says, وَأَقِمِ الصَّلَاةِ, establish prayer. إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنْكَرِ. Prayer protects against and forbids indecency, obscenity, profanity, and all despicable things. What is more despicable than killing innocent people? What is more despicable than this? If this does not arouse our faith and conscience, what will? We spoke before that tyranny is like a cancer. It is not like, it is worse than a cancer. If you let it fester, it eats at the body. Those of us who are left, that the Pharaonic regime has not eaten yet, they have not swallowed us yet, are we happy just because we are safe? It is not my turn. Are we just not waiting like lambs in the slaughterhouse? Everyone is waiting his turn and is happy not to be the first in line. One time you will be the first in line. The day is coming. If you wait until it becomes your neighbor, you are too late. If none of us has any relative or friends that he knows who have been eaten by the cancer of the pharaohs around the Muslim world, do you think because you are far, you are safe, right? But Allah's testing doesn't know boundaries. Allah's testing doesn't need a visa to come and visit upon us. It can come. And unless we stand for others, nobody will stand for us when the time comes. We spoke last time that the Muslim communities around the world, the Muslim Ummah, is like one body. If any part aches, is in pain or suffering, the whole body starts to suffer. Why is it that the part of the body that feels safe is not feeling the suffering of others? People in China, the Muslims in the western Turkestan part are taken into dungeons. They are bargained with either your faith or your life, either your faith or your wife. Either you give up your faith or we will take your life. And those are not the few to call them a terrorist. They have taken already about 1 million men, women, and children. We hear about the days of the Bolshevik Revolution in the old Soviet Union. This is worse, much far worse than what you could imagine. Pictures have come out, videos have come out, and we're still not talking against it, as if it doesn't matter. This is as wrong as your mother or your daughter being in their sister's places, and you're saying, it's not me, I'm safe. The Quran teaches us that we, humanity, is one family. All belong to Adam and Eve. And we always keep telling you that no matter who the oppressor is, Muslim or non-Muslim, who the oppressed is, Muslim or non-Muslim, we stand for justice. Because justice is what keeps everything in balance. This whole universe is created in balance. لا الشمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر ولا الليل سابق النهار كل في فلك يسبحون. The sun is not gonna catch up with the moon to collide with it, nor would the night catch up with the day. They all come in due time, in due process. It is our responsibility to turn the human society as a whole into a just environment for all to live in peace and justice. And without justice, there is no peace. Without justice, there is no balance. In today's world, the rich is taking the money out of the pockets of the poor, and the poor cannot speak up. In some nations, they are waiting for hunger strikes, that people would revolt based on hunger. Look at Yemen. Hunger, diseases, epidemics, bullets, guns, tanks, airplanes are all raining death on an entire country. And the rest of the Muslim world is busy. As you are sitting on your social media, put a word on behalf of these people. 60 some years of total occupation, total subjugation, total discrimination, complete racism. Our Palestinian brothers and sisters and children are being killed at whim. And we make a khutbah, make a position, issue a statement, and that's it. This is not going to change the world in which we live. We have to change our attitude towards dhulm. Dhulm should be our poison. Whenever there is poison, you seek antidote. You seek something to remedy, and do it quickly before it takes out your life. For the Muslim, life is not that you are breathing, by the way. For the Muslim, life means that you are following the guidance of Allah, otherwise you are not alive. You may be living, but you are not alive. Unless you have your input and effect in this life, you are not alive, even though physically you are a living person. But you have no life, and your life has no value unless you do something to make tomorrow a better day than today, for yourself, for your family, for your community, for your society, and for the world in which you live. We have to take Allah seriously. Here is what Allah says. أَفَمَنْ كَانَ مَيْتًا فَأَحْيَيْنَاهُ. Are they equal? The one who was dead and we gave him life? So what does the ayah talk about? Read the rest of it. وَجَعَلْنَا لَهُ نُورًا يَمْشِي بِهِ فِي النَّاسِ. And we have given him light to walk with it in the midst of people. We must be the light and the torch for the world of darkness in which we live. Mind you, the word ظلم and ظلمات, they come from the same root. أفمن كان ميتا فأحييناه وجعلنا له نورا يمشي به في الظلمات. So you have to let the world in which you live. Let the light of your faith shine on the community you live with, in the family you take care of, in the country where you live, and in the world that you are part of. For Allah, humanity is one type of creatures. Allah doesn't look at us as nationalities and nations, and no. Allah tells us that He made us into peoples and nations so that we may know, we may care for each other. This is what Allah meant for us, to live our deen, to shine the light of faith on every issue. What does Allah say about this? Because without shining the light for truth, truth will never prevail. Without shining the light on falsehood, falsehood will continue to deceive everybody. This is the role of the shaitan. وَلَأُزَيِّنَنَّ لَهُمْ. The shaitan will beautify in your eyes truth as difficult and ugly, and falsehood as beautiful and beneficial. This is how we make lopsided decisions. We decide against our own interest and we don't even feel it. So silence is a huge betrayal, not only for our brothers and sisters, but even for the interest of the oppressors themselves. Because if they are defeated, one of them at a time, they may wake up. It may be good for their own faith and their own fate. But unfortunately, tyrants are totally blinded. But what is our problem? Why are we blinded that our speech is necessary? This is very important. It's unfortunate to note that some of us are still supporting the tyrant. Some of us are saying that what is happening in Yemen is better than Syria. What is happening in Egypt is better than Iraq. What's happening in Libya is better than what's happening in Yemen. Everybody has their own formula, as if oppression comes in shapes and types. Oppression is oppression. Taking the freedom of the human will to oppress the person or to break their will is as bad as killing, even worse. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَالْفِتْنَةُ أَشَدُّ مِنَ الْقَتْلِ. To persecute is worse than killing. Now, we have both persecution and killing in the Muslim land at the hands of people who are actually hypocrites, but they claim to be Muslims. That's what hypocrites do all the time. Otherwise, how do they mingle in the middle of a majority Muslim nation? So unless we understand that speaking against wrongdoing is as mandatory as prayer. If prayer awakens your soul, speaking against wrongdoing awakens your conscience. So what does it do, a life that we have in which our conscience is dead or muted? How do we live? Where is our compass? Our compass is to live according to our conscience and to do what our conscience tells us. The longer we are silent, the closer we kill whatever is left of our conscience, because we get accustomed. Now we submit to tyranny as if it is the norm. And we think we are telling each other to be patient by saying, Ya akhi, what do you expect? Of course we know they are tyrant, that's what they will do, as if it becomes the norm. Normalizing injustice is itself injustice. Accepting injustice is part of the injustice. Supporting the oppressor means you become an oppressor. And one way to support is to stay silent when you see oppression. When you hear about oppression and you stay silent, you are killing your own conscience. You are telling yourself, it's none of your business. Whose business is it? The oppressed cannot speak. The oppressed has no voice. Who's going to be their voice? The people in Gaza cannot drink, cannot shower, cannot have electricity, cannot save their food for tomorrow, which they have very little of, if any, because Israel controls the water, the electricity, and the air passages, and the routes, and they are sieged. The largest prison on earth is the prison of Gaza. We need to speak up. Because if we don't, who else is going to speak? Who has the faith that we have? The beautiful faith of Islam, with which we can change the whole world. If we don't, who is going to speak for us? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open our hearts for the truth and give us the courage, the bravery to speak up and not to fear neither Pharaoh nor his supporters. Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man walah, wa ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh wa safwatuhu min khalqihi wa habibuh qad adda al-amana wa nasaha al-ummah wa kashafa al-ghummah wa jahada fi sabili dinihi hatta atahu al-yaqin. Allahumma salli wa sallim wa barik alayhi wa ala alihi wa sahabatihi ومن اتبع سنته بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. Brothers and sisters, Libya is being torn apart as we speak, and it has been for some time. Sudan has been divided into two nations and is yet sliced for one more division to separate the west of Sudan from Sudan. Egypt, the regime is struggling to incite violence and civil war as fast as he can by killing innocent people. This week alone, they killed their last 9 people after they had killed before 1,400 people. Do you know what they are doing? They are killing, yes, some by just extrajudicial killing, just shooting them in the street, in their homes, anywhere. But they are still using the judicial system. So judges who are supposed to be the epic reference and refuge for the oppressed are becoming a tool in the hands of the oppressor. They are executing people that they know they were innocent. One of those 9 was in jail when the crime he is accused of was committed. What more injustice one wants evidence for than this? In a group of 528 people, summary judgment that were judged for execution. 528 people, they were summarily judged and sent to death row in 20 minutes, in which you could never read even the names of the accused. Among them, dead people, mind you. People who were dead. Dead before the crime. Dead for years before the crime. Is there any more injustice than this? Yes. Unfortunately, we humans are capable of as much evil as the chief devil. That's why Allah tells us that there are such things as shayateen al-ins wal-jinn. There are shayateen in the jinn community. There are shayateen who are humans. They are like me and you in every respect. But they have devilish souls that they worship and they obey in every turn, in every corner, and human life for them means nothing. It's up to us. It's all up to us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُوا مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. If our motives are not godly driven, if our desires are devilishly driven, if our comfort is defined for us by our whims and desires, then كبر علينا أربعا. Pray our funeral when we are still alive, because we are meaningless, we are useless. We have to live our faith. If you have authority and you can use your hand to change what is wrong, use it. Use your hand to the maximum authority that you have. But don't accept injustice. And if you can't use your hand, at least use your tongue. But never acquiesce or approve what is wrong. You become a culprit. You become an accomplice to injustice. Never say, oh, but they are excused. And the most unfortunate thing is we know that your enemies are dividing our communities into moderate, into progressive, and backward, and extremist, and all of these divisions, so that we hit at each other. And we are accepting the division. So you belong to this group, you are extremist. You want to redress grievances against the regime, you are extremist. You are calling for instability. So when our beliefs are so badly misconstrued, our life will be the same. Now, Egypt, that used to export food and human resources and raw supply materials to the entire Arab world, including human resources, engineers, doctors, teachers, to the whole Arab world for the past 40, 50 years. Now, Egypt cannot fund its own teachers. But they are building prisons, mind you. They are buying 4 jets for the president. 4 of the highest class. They have the money for this. They have the money to build the prisons, but not schools. Do you now see how Allah would let us go where we want? Because if we wanted justice, we would have stood for it. And Allah would have supported us. But guess what? We're afraid. If I speak, my neck is on the line. So you want somebody else's neck on the line? Is this what we want? They are already taking somebody's neck on the line, and they are slaying them right and left. Are you happy that your neck is safe? Is this what we're saying to ourselves? Until we change this attitude, Allah will never change our position or our condition or our situation. We have to be willing to speak up and stand up tall. This one man who spoke against Pharaoh, he caused the children of Israel to rally together and to solidify their ranks and to stand up with Moses and to even risk their life by running in the desert, even though they could not face Pharaoh militarily, but at least they had the courage to migrate and stay away from this evil. Now, because Egypt has become one of the greater prisons in the world, it's a favor that you get a permission to travel out. And if you come back in, you are lucky to be able to get out. You are lucky to be able to get out. Which means they know that staying is a punishment. It's a dungeon. And the president is going to Warsaw and Geneva to tell them, listen, watch those Muslims in the mosques in your countries. Watch what they are saying. What else are we waiting for? He is inciting violence against us where we are. Everybody hears him. So they are fighting us even despite our silence. Why don't we speak up? Let us speak up and try it. Let us try not to be silent and not to betray our conscience, not to betray our faith, and not to betray the oppressed in our countries and in our communities. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guide us to stand up for the truth. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا ومتعنا اللهم بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقوتنا ما أحييتنا واجعله الوارث منا واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا ولا مبلغ علمنا ولا إلى النار مصيرنا. اللهم اشف مرضانا ومرضى المسلمين وارحم موتانا وموتى المسلمين أجمعين. اللهم خذ بأيدينا إليك أخذ الكرام عليك. اللهم لا توفنا إلا وأنت راض عنا. اللهم لا توفنا إلا وأنت راض عنا. اللهم لا توفنا إلا وأنت راض عنا. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فستذكرون ما أقول لكم وأفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد وأقم الصلاة.